Hello and welcome back to Real Estate Real Home Stories. I'm Sue Curlett and I'm joined today by Julie Poindexter. How are you?
Hey Sue, how are you?
I am great. I am great. So, long story short, we recorded an episode that I screwed up completely by the audio. So, Julie is
Well,
back
now we
again.
know it was also it was actually my
It was a mutual thing, but we figured it out. And Julie, thank you so much for doing this. I'm
Absolutely.
super excited to introduce you to everybody, all of our listeners.
Thank
And
you.
everybody, this is episode number 2020.
Woohoo.
Yay. I can't believe it. Everybody told me get through 10 episodes. Just keep going until you get through 10 episodes. And now I'm like, all right, here's 20.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. You know, we're nearing 1,000 followers on TikTok. The whole point of the podcast is to be able to have fun and bridge that gap, right? Like the gap that people just don't understand. And I really believe, Julie, that an educated consumer is the best consumer and the easiest consumer to work with
It
because
is.
they don't. They're
100%. Yep.
yeah, we take the fear out of it and we just make it a very simple
Right.
process. Hopefully,
Yep.
none
I
of
mean,
it is simple.
right. Exactly. Showing people, hey, here's what this means and here's what this means. And you make the decision. Like, this is what I would choose, but here
Right?
you have all the facts, you have all the numbers, all the knowledge. Now,
Yeah,
make the decision yourself. And yeah. So,
exactly. We bid on a house this week and I'm very happy that I got it, but 13 offers. We were bidding against 13 other people, and the house was on the market less than a week.
wow.
So,
Well
real
done.
story, it was like, oh, thank God I got it. But we did all kinds of creative stuff to get it.
Right.
Uh, and, it's just knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, and once you're working with somebody that has the knowledge, for anybody thinking about not having a buyer's agent, good luck with that.
Right.
Like
Right.
I keep saying that, but it's a tough market.
Yeah.
Julie, what is the big difference for you that you're seeing in this market compared to a regular market like 3 years ago?
So, I mean, I do lend everywhere in the US, so it kind of just depends on the market, to be honest, about where we are. But generally speaking, it's still just very, very busy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just multiple offers. It's like you said, getting creative. I mean, I know we talked about this a little bit before, but off air, but it's just working with somebody who has the experience is just so invaluable. Like you
It's
said, I
amazing.
mean, you had all these other people you were competing against, and and it's very possible you weren't the highest offer either. It's just you knew
We
how to,
were not.
yeah, you knew
We're
how to,
not the highest offer, right?
you knew how to structure the deal to where it was, it was just you knew what the seller was looking for.
Absolutely.
And likewise, I feel like I love working with agents where I know, like, I can kind of come in on that and say, "Oh, let's do this too," or "Here's how I'm going to structure the loan to make it look better too," or
Yeah.
so. But yeah, no, it just requires that. It requires that experience. This type of market requires that experience, I think. So
Well, one of the things that we did that I think really solidified the deal for us was that we did a pre-inspection.
mm,
So before we submitted our offer, I got permission from the listing agent to meet there and do an inspection, basically a pre-inspection walkthrough. So we went through the house thoroughly, basically did the same inspection we would have done after the fact.
now, was
So
this after you had gotten your offer accepted or no?
no, this is before we made the offer
Oh,
because then we
great.
were able to remove the
Oh,
inspection contingency
girl,
altogether.
I love it.
So yeah, that's you gotta do what you gotta do,
You gotta
right?
be creative.
You gotta get creative. And if you're going into a house with 13 offers, I guarantee you and promise you that at least half of them are waiving the inspection. So
Right.
the way to do that, if you listen to one of our other podcasts, I don't remember the number, but Dave came on and was talking about the pre-inspection. So basically, that's who we used. Dave came out and he did a pre-inspection, walked through the house, and gave us the comfort that the buyer needed to be able to move forward and snag it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there's a
Yep.
lot of little elements that go in there. And after this closes, I'll be more open to talk about it. But
Yes.
when it's active, we can't really discuss too much about it. But
Yeah. And
yeah, we were
you would
not the highest offer. We just came up with some things that the seller would be comfortable with. That's all.
sure. And I
So
remember that just reminds me, I love that at the height of the market, 2021, I guess 2020, when we were, COVID and just prices were even more insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember agents telling me, or basically an agent finding out that, yeah, basically when they made the showing appointment,
Yeah.
and this was like, they didn't even really go about it the same way as you did, but I love the way you did it. But I mean, basically, yeah. So she would make the inspection or the appointment to go see the property with the buyers. And if the
Yeah.
buyers were up for it, they would pay they'd bring along a home inspector. And like, it was that, I mean, I guess you just didn't really have to necessarily let the seller know or the listing agent know because they were going in there. So I know there's some,
Yeah.
but anyways, my point is that it was very smart because then they saw the property, they felt okay or not okay, and then they made the offer and waived contingency in good conscience,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to knowing what we're doing. It comes down to knowing how we want to move forward. And, this buyer just makes it much difficult because it's one of my best friends. So
Oh, yeah.
like, that adds that personal element to it. And I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
this is the one. But,
Right.
and then of course there's 13 other people that are bidding on the same house. And I'm
Yeah.
like, just trust me,
Yeah, exactly.
just be quiet and trust me real quick. And she's
Yeah.
like, okay, just do it. So basically we had to do some things that we normally wouldn't be doing, like the pre-inspection.
Love that.
Yeah, there's just things out there. So for all the realtors listening, we really, really want to know what's going on in your community. So in the DMV, I'm very comfortable. And, so DC, Virginia, Maryland, I'm very comfortable. I know this market. I know what's going on. But if you're outside of this market, we want to invite you to join us. So please reach out. If you've reached out previously, please reach out again. A few people reached out in the beginning, 2 of which I have not been able to get in contact with. So reach out again. Let us know how we can help you. We're happy to. We want you to come on here and share your stories as well. Julie is a lender and has been doing so for over 10 years now. So Julie, tell us a little bit about you and your practice. And, you have 2 experience, like broker and then direct lender, right? So
yeah. So I basically started out at a more like just a direct lender. It was like a internet lending based. So my leads just came from everywhere across the country. And from there was able to obviously build a referral network and branch out on my own. But yeah, the big change for me came, I would say, like a year and a half ago, where I moved from the, essentially a retail model to the broker world, which I mean, I think that word just has interesting connotations to it. I mean, there's so many things like
it really does.
Yeah, like brokerage. Like brokerage means, it's like the word escrow, right? Escrow means this, escrow means that. The word brokerage means, real estate agent brokerage, mortgage broker, insurance broker, like whatever. So, but
everybody's a broker.
what's that?
Everybody's a broker of something, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, and just kind of like learning that it's a big jump to make, like in the lending world. And, when you're a lender, it's like, oh, it's, people make it seem really scary. And it is, it's a lot of new stuff to learn. But the awesome thing about it is I have over 140, actually, I just learned, different lenders to work with. And so honestly, the reason I made the switch was obviously times like the business was slowing down last year. And it was one of those things where I've always had people come to me and say, like, for advice. And I'm very much like, I will answer any questions anyone has, like, and I don't need like anything in return. Like, I'm just going to do you right and believe it comes back to me. And that's always worked well for me. But yeah. And so I have people, friends or whatnot, come and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm purchasing. Can you help me? And, in years past, I was always able to say, if it wasn't a good fit, if it was like just not my current company's like specialty, I was able to say, hey, this is great. Like everything looks good, but go to this lender, or this is, I'm not going to be able to assist you the best, or the rate I get, interest rate, isn't going to be the best with my company. And so I was able to essentially pass them along, and because, that's what you do the right thing. So,
absolutely.
But last year when I was having to do that, I was realizing I can't afford to be losing these, these deals. Like every single deal counts at this point, so because it was slow. Yeah. So
absolutely.
And it was like, my company was great with like this type of loan, this type of client, but now I just have access to so much more. So like, if a client gets on the phone with someone and gets back to the realtor and says, I can't buy right now because of X, I guess just know that that's what that lender told them. And I'm sure that's what that lender told them in good faith, because they don't have the
Yeah.
product to offer,
Right.
or they don't have the knowledge that the product is, and there's another product out there that can assist
Yeah.
them. So
Absolutely.
it's just, yeah. And so ever since making the switch, I just have essentially access to so many more products and
Yeah.
so many more, uh, interest rates and just ways to structure the loan. So
Deductions. Right. Like exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I think that for me, if I had to summarize the difference between a direct lender and a broker, and this is just in my real estate head, so I'm neither a mortgage broker or I don't work for a bank at all.
Yeah.
So just know that. Um, but the difference for me is that a broker is like in the stock market. I picture that person like standing there going, okay, who's got this today and who's got that today? Where is this person best suited?
Yes.
And
Yes.
the banks, they change their stuff daily.
Hmm.
So you can go on there and go, oh, wait a minute. And one of the things to keep in mind too is that when you're with a direct lender and you're with a bank, that they're going to keep it in house, right? I mean, they're not really selling them after you go to closing. So I hear a lot of people say, oh my gosh, they sold my mortgage. They sold my mortgage. Now I have to pay Wells Fargo, or now I have to pay Bank of America, or whoever takes services the loan.
Yep.
And with the broker, that's going to happen like the day after settlement. If not at settlement, it's already sold. So don't be afraid of that wholesale. The terms, and you can just clarify,
Yes.
the terms when you go to settlement are going to be identical. They
Yes.
don't have the right to change them.
Yes.
So even though the loan is sold, your terms remain the same throughout the 30-year process if you're in a 30-year fixed.
Absolutely. And it's so funny that you said that, because I just closed a refinance recently where that was important to my client. Was I want to stay with one lender. I don't want to have my loan sold after closing. And
Yeah.
no problem. I have those lenders too that service the loans. So
Okay.
it's
Good
not
to
all,
know.
yeah. So it's not all 140. Obviously, lenders do that. Usually to get super competitive on rates, you you just want to basically pick. Basically, like, that just gives you a smaller pool of lenders to choose from, obviously,
Right.
because not everyone services. But we were able to get him, like, below market interest rate. And also the main reason he wanted that particular ability is, or to stay with a current lender, not get sold, is he really wanted to be able to recast after closing, which you've probably heard. It's, you put a chunk of change towards the mortgage after closing, at least
No, I
10,000.
don't know.
Yeah, it's like, at least usually it's at least $10,000, but it's usually like someone has a property and they're going to sell it, but they're not going to sell it before they close on the refinance. So they want to be able to say, hey, I've got 200 grand now that I can apply towards the mortgage. And they actually get their payment re-amortized based on that lower loan amount, which is really, really nice. Um,
So just to simplify it and see if I'm understanding you, like what you're saying is on the purchase of maybe their new home,
yeah.
right? They need the money from their second home, like their old house. When they sell it, now they got a big chunk of change and they want to pay down the mortgage they just bought,
Which
but
they
they
can do.
didn't want to have to, right? They didn't want to have to sell before they bought,
Not only
right?
that, yes,
The way.
yes, you're correct. And then, but not only that, but say I have for easy math, a $500,000 home I just purchased, or a $600,000 home I purchased, and the loan amount is $500,000. And
Yeah.
I have a house that I'm selling, in 6 months, that's 200, that I'll net $200,000 on. So in, 6 months after my purchase, I have this $200,000 to apply towards the principal. Well, you can do that with any lender, but what's nice, but like your payments are still based off of that original $500,000 loan. So the recast allows you to essentially put that $200,000 towards the principal and also re-amortize the payment. So the payments are lowering. So it's like a refinance, except for the rate's not changing. And so the closing costs are less, and there's just a lot of benefits. So for that,
Yeah. It
things
sounds
like every lender should know about that. Like I remember I mean, I've talked to different lenders before and they don't even know what that is. And I'm just like, how do you not know what this is? You know?
Right.
So,
20 years. I'm celebrating 20 years. First time I'm hearing about it.
oh, yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
why this podcast is so important,
yes.
because you're educating the realtors too. Now we know
Right.
that it might make sense to say, hey, look, here's what we're doing. The more you guys tell us as consumers, so the more you say, this is my plan, this is what I want to do, then we're able to share that information with your lender, with whoever
Right.
you're working with.
Yes.
And together we're able to say, oh, wait a minute, this makes more sense for you, or you should do this
Right.
because of this reason.
Right.
Um, we shared a story a week or so ago, and it was John. John was talking, and it's actually probably going to come out on the next podcast because we're recording this after John and I have already recorded another one, but this is going to come out first. And one of the things that John was saying, if I'm correct, I think it was John, it might have been you and I in the last podcast, but we were talking about this seller that was out of state that allowed their daughter to sell their house. Was that you, or was it? I think it was John.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, it was John.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. The situation is that the daughter lived in the house. She was finishing college.
Mhm.
So the father moved like 5 years previous and let the daughter stay in the house. Well, then when she graduated from college and she was moving out of state, she went to the realtor, they listed the house for sale by owner,
Mhm.
right? Now, here's where the problem came in. Had they hired a realtor, the realtor would have said to them, add her to title, so
Mhm.
you don't have an out-of-state sales tax. But they did.
Mhm. Mhm.
So next thing you know, right? Like next thing you know, they put the house, a buyer agent comes in, they bring a buyer, they're willing to pay the buyer agent, everybody's happy until you get to closing. And then the title officer is saying, oh, and here's this 7 point whatever
Yeah.
percent rate that you have to pay because
Yeah.
you're not an in-state seller. And
Right.
they're like, what?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that goes back to title, and it goes back to why you need representation on both sides of the aisle,
Yes, of
right?
course.
Like you
Yep.
need that listing agent that's going to tell you these things. A
Right.
buyer is representing the buyer. They're
Mhm.
never going to tell you these things. And
Right.
that 2.5 or 3% that he would have been paying to a seller's agent is now over 7%
Exactly.
because he didn't put his daughter on title before the sale took place.
Absolutely. But you
So,
know what you don't know, and I completely understand everyone wants to save money. Like I get that, but
100%.
there's things that, I mean, real estate whenever you have a transaction with, 6 figures or whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, you just need representation. It's just, there's too many things that can go wrong.
It's absolutely shocking to me that we're talking about, five, six, seven, $800,000. I don't think $1 million buyers are going to even question hiring someone on both sides of the transaction. I don't think we're going to see that.
Mhm.
It's going to be the first time home buyer that just needs help and doesn't have the money to pay the buyer agent,
Yeah,
or it's going to be that person that's selling their first house that just doesn't know what they don't know, and
exactly.
they're going to try to do it on their own. And
Right.
then these lessons are going to be learned. Hopefully this podcast helped people enough that they can learn that they need somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the bottom line.
Right.
I've been doing it for 20 years. If I moved to a different state, I would hire an agent.
Right. Exactly.
You
Hands
don't
down.
know.
Hands down.
Right.
Mhm.
You just don't know. So when we're talking about loans and we're talking about structure, what do you think the people that are just getting started should do? Like,
Yeah.
what do you, that first phone call, is that to you 6 months before they start looking, or is it to you 3 days before they start looking? What is your best case scenario?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really just depends on the client, and how much research they've done on their own and, that sort of thing. And of course, the research you do on your own and you talk to your friends, and obviously you're not getting necessarily the correct information. So,
Right.
I mean, I would say I'm pretty good at working as fast or as slow as someone's kind of ready to do that,
Yeah.
So everyone's comfort level is different, but 6 months is great. Obviously your credit report isn't going to last that long. So I'm not going to really pull credit yet. I'm just going to kind of explain things, how I calculate your debt to income ratio, and I can obviously like tell you what you qualify for based on rough math that you give me, as long as your debts and stuff like that, your payments that you make every month. A lot of people, the problem with that is a lot of people forget what they pay monthly because everything's just on auto pay these
Right.
days.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's why when people call me and say, "Can you pre-approve me?" But I don't want to pull my credit yet. I say I can do that, but I mean, I can't do that, but I mean, I can give you a number, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah. And then 3 days before is great because obviously they're ready to go, and you can tell them, boom, boom, boom. Here's what it
Here's
is.
the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an agent, when we're working with lenders, one of the big things that we like to do is we like to talk about the client, where we're at, what we're doing. In a perfect world, everybody would already be pre-approved before they have that conversation with me, but it's
Yeah.
not ever the case.
Right.
80% of the time, consumers have not talked to a lender first. They're talking to the realtor first. And that's okay because we have lenders that we've worked with for years that we want to make sure you understand we don't make any money from that lender. So
Right.
if you work with Julianne and me, I'm not getting paid from
Mhm.
Julianne. Like if you work with me and another lender, I'm not getting paid. There's at no point am I getting a kickback or anything from those lenders.
Yep.
And if you know your realtor is, then you really need to take that into consideration because there should be disclosure saying they're affiliated.
Yeah.
Sometimes lenders work in the same office as realtors and they're partnered together, and that's fine. But you will get an affiliation disclosure that says, that the brokers, it's usually not your agent, but the brokers are, paying each other for
Yeah.
that business to make
Right.
it work. So
In a lot of cases, it's illegal, obviously. So depending.
yeah, exactly. Without that affiliation disclosure, then you can't do it. It's illegal.
Yes.
So there's RESPA violations and everything that come into play with that. So it's just a matter of the fact that I might be calling Julie with 10 buyers a month to get pre-qualified that are going to buy at some point from her. So she's going to make sure to take care of you clients that come in through your realtor, because even though you're the client, you're also part of a bigger group, right?
Mhm.
So that those lenders are making sure to take care of their realtors' clients because the realtor is really one of the clients, even though not per
Oh,
se.
absolutely. Yeah. Like I
How
love
do you, right?
I love making my realtors look like rock stars. I mean,
Exactly.
brings me more business. That makes it's wonderful. It's just a god, once you get that experience where not everyone clicks, but like when you find lenders that, you click with and realtors that you click with, it's just a beautiful thing because
It is a beautiful thing.
the buyer is so impressed.
Not easy, right? I'm not easy to get along with. I am demanding. I work 7 days a week. I call in the evening. I text. I'm just constantly working. So
Same here.
it's one of those things where your lender is kind of like your right arm. You're calling them, going, "Look, we found this house. Can you run numbers and tell us what this price would be?"
Exactly.
Every house is different.
Right. I do like pretty much every type of loan, mortgage loan, anything related to property I can do. And
Yeah.
I got in with this Air Force group. So that's like VA loans, veterans, like tons of pilots. And I was at I got this email from someone. I had this client who transaction went great. Like everything was good. He was just like kind of that more straightforward borrower. Like I wasn't like, we weren't chatting on the phone and texting LOL. Like, it was more just like kind of, and that was just like, some people are like that, which is fine.
Yeah.
And so, so it's like a little bit like, I hope this guy likes me. I mean, everything's going well, but I hope he likes me, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I get an email from him, and it just doesn't even sound like him in the email. And this is like right before closing or something. He's like, we were at a going away party for one of our friends in the military who's leaving, whatever. He's like, and like everyone in that room you had done a loan for. Like they found out we were like, you're the Air Force's #1 lender or something like that. It was
That's awesome.
I posted it on LinkedIn, like the email. It was just the most rewarding thing. It was like, we were all like, because I guess like he mentioned, like, yeah, I'm buying a house. And like, oh, who are you using? Julie. Oh, we use like all these hands.
You use Julie too? Isn't that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that's priceless. And that's what I'm talking about.
It is.
Like people don't realize that, and I'm sure that lots of jobs do this, especially after COVID, but we are literally sitting in our homes and we are working from home. And so we don't have a lot of that adulting
yes.
that we used to have in the office all the time.
Yep.
I hate it. I wish that
Yeah.
I could be in an office. I get much more done at home because I'm a
Yeah.
talker and I would be
Same.
at your desk and we
Yes.
would be
Yeah.
going to lunch and you know what I mean? So
Yes.
I make more money sitting at home, but at the same time, our network of people, like our lenders, our title officers, that kind of becomes our work family.
They are totally our work
So
family.
yeah, so those people will answer the phone. Those people will respond to text messages. Those people
Yes.
will make a big difference for us. And we want to share those people with you
Right.
with a good heart, right? Like
Exactly.
we're not throwing people down your throat necessarily
No.
because we're going to make any money.
Yes.
We truly trust these people
Right.
and we know that they're going to take care of you. So
Sure. Yeah.
every realtor out there is probably saying the same thing. Like, before you jump into somebody else's boat, let me just introduce you to my captain, right? Like, let me
Exactly.
introduce you to my team.
Right.
Um, and then make a decision. So
Yeah. And
that's kind of, I think it's really important for people to know that there's options out there and that, their realtor does have a pile of
right.
referrals for them.
Right. And
Um,
and the thing is too with experience, like I know we talked about that a lot before. It's like that's just invaluable. And it's like, no, yeah, no, nobody's perfect, but that experience is just, and I hate to say that on the one hand, because I do feel bad for new folks in the industry, whether it's, being an agent, because everyone has to start somewhere. Everyone needs a first client.
they
Um,
do.
but I mean, like, it's just, that aside, you and I are talking about like just that level of been in the industry this long, like know all these people, like, like,
Absolutely. There was a big question that came up. I don't know. I network on Facebook. There's a bunch of real estate networks that I'm part of, and I read up on what everybody's saying and thinking. And, it blows my mind that that realtors, lenders, different people have so many different opinions. So it really is important to choose the realtor, lender, whoever meshes with you and that
yeah,
you understand and that is making sure they're taking care of you and explaining everything along the way. But the people that don't know. So
yeah,
keep them out, right? Like that's
right.
kind of the key for
Mhm.
a successful transaction. Don't invite in the guessers that, oh,
Yeah,
I think you should do this because my neighbor just got XYZ off of their house because of XYZ. And it's like, this
100%.
is right, right, right.
Yes. And that's a
We,
great that I would say we do get occasionally, I do get occasionally folks saying, "Hey, with this program, my friend just got take advantage of this program for loans or down payment assistance or whatever it is." And I will just tell someone straight up, "Hey, I because since I am nationwide, I mean, there are some programs I can do for
yeah,
individual states, but on the whole, those aren't really my niches, as specialties. So,
yeah, yeah,
I'll be the first to say, "Hey, I can't do that, but here's what I can do," and
right,
but
right.
yeah, it's definitely my friend got this, can you do it? And it's like, yeah, either yes or no. I'm not gonna BS you, so
Well, what people don't, and this brings up a really good topic that I think you're going to be able to help people understand. Um, the first time home buyer programs, the money down programs, these programs are not free. So if you want a first time home buyer program, then by all means, you can get what $7,500 towards your down payment. If this is your home
right.
and you're not planning on refinancing right away, you want that lower percentage. It's
Right.
going that lower interest rate. It's going to make a huge difference.
It is.
So don't get sucked into the first time home buyer programs
Right.
where you think that lender's not offering me that.
Right.
Well, because you don't need it. You
Right.
don't need to take the extra money, which means you don't need to pay the higher interest rate
Right.
and you can just go a more traditional route.
Absolutely.
So,
And I mean,
uh,
just like also making sure, like, depending on what state you're in, some of these programs, like you said, if the rate's higher because they gave you this big credit, you're going to want to refinance into a lower rate as soon as you can. I mean, that's just common sense.
absolutely.
And so,
Yeah.
but some states like are cost way more to refinance than other states. So keep that in mind. As a nationwide, somebody who lends nationwide, I mean,
Yeah.
I can pull up quotes in like literally 5 seconds for any state, including Hawaii, Alaska. Like I can tell you how much it's going to cost to refinance. Like California, I know is about $1,200 total flat, which is, ironic. You would think they would be more expensive, but, and then there's other states like Maryland and Georgia and North Carolina, I believe, where there's state transfer tax involved. So, you know, you got to make sure you're using a lender that's like putting in the dates on like when you purchased and what the loan amount was at that time to get you the reissue discounts and all of that. There's a lot
Right.
that goes into it. So don't willy-nilly pick your refi lender either. Make sure they know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as I'm
It's
aware.
so important. It's so important to pick the people that already know what they're doing.
Right.
Experience, experience, experience. Like in this market, especially, there's no fly by your seat of your pants. You know,
Mhm.
I've been in markets where you could literally be a realtor and work 40 hours a week and just, you know, still have enough clients to go out every evening of the week
Right.
because we can't get realtors, right? Like
Right.
we've been so busy that we've
Right.
had people lined up, you know.
Right.
Those days are not now. You know
Yes,
what I mean? Like
exactly.
we're all looking for business. We're all willing to work with you. We're all willing to help you. And um across the board, you can pretty much pick your person. Like any
Yep.
realtor out there is not going to say no to you.
Yep.
Now, that being said, you have to make sure that that personality fit goes into play too,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you need a handhold and sometimes you don't want that handhold.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you know, find a good fit, make it work. Um, you're going to be available on Home Joiner.
Yes.
So we'll talk a little bit. I mean, I know that anybody that's heard this has probably heard of Home Joiner at this point, but anything you need real estate related, Home Joiner is the place to go. I literally broke it down to be as inexpensive as possible because I'm celebrating my 20-year anniversary and I wanted to give back. So that's literally why I created homejoiner.com. It is my 20 years of experience in real estate plus my 8 years of experience, 6 to 8 years of experience in advertising. And it's all coming together. And for $250 a year, people can register online. Consumers, you can go into your area. You can find anybody that provides this service. It's going to take me time to grow. Homejoiner.com. If you're a consumer, there's no registration required. You can log in, you can find your people, you can call them on your own. You're going to get whoever you get. So if you're in 21771, which is my zip code, I'm going to pop up. If you're Julie can have the entire country for $250. That's the key. Like there's no territory lines right now. In 6 months, I may not be able to offer that, right? Like if it takes off the way I'm hoping it does, then that won't be an option. But that way, you know, you can pick your person. You're going to find your person. If there's nobody that appears yet, please keep checking back because I am growing. We're hiring. So if anybody is looking for an outside sales job, call us, let us know. And we'll certainly welcome you to Home Joiner if you're a good fit with us. Any questions, Julie? Or
Well,
what are your
I love that. And I would just like kind of piggyback off that and just say, in the world of like online social media, we're all just getting like referrals from different folks and like Facebook or, and like, even if you just think about it, like with home inspectors or cleaners, like you were saying.
when you go to Google and you Google home inspector, right?
Yeah.
You're going to come up, the first 20 people or the first 10 or however many are sponsored. So those companies are paying Google to pop up.
Exactly. Right.
Then you start getting into the people that I guess have a great social media team
Yes.
that get them to pop up. So people aren't stupid. They
Right.
know
Right.
that, you know, they've got a good social media team that's
Right.
that's backing them, that's getting them up on Google.
Yeah.
The people you really want, you can't find.
Right.
Because,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know what I mean? You cannot find them.
Not only that, Sue, but they're also busy, and like, you know, praise be
Yep.
that they are, because like they have referrals, you know. It's such a blessing to be able to, like, even in this market, like sometimes I'll turn to people, it's like I can't, like, you know, it's just, or if you don't fit with someone, you're getting weird vibes, you know. And you know,
Yep.
it's a blessing to be in the point in your business, which I know we both are, where we can say, you know, I just don't think I'm the best fit for you. Best of luck. Like, here's kind of what I think would be better. You know, it's just like,
refer you to someone.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Like, you know, I don't think I'm the perfect person for you. So let's just let you go. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And right now, especially, it's so hard. People don't understand the stress that is put on all of us in this industry right now. We're getting dragged through the dirt like we don't exist, or like our jobs didn't matter. And I can guarantee you that that is so far from reality. You know what I mean? Like we
Right.
have, I've worked till midnight trying to make sure a deal would go through. I've
Absolutely.
literally, over the years, and there's so many people that I've worked with that would do the same. We,
Exactly.
the majority are good, right? Like
Yes.
that's, I believe that with all of my heart. The majority of people are good.
Yeah.
They're making decisions without understanding, which
Right.
is the problem, right?
Right.
So home joiner, it's not going to make any promises. We're not promising you the right person. What we are promising you is that you can read their bio,
Mm-hmm.
you can see a copy of their insurance, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see a copy of their license.
Mm-hmm.
Those three things are already 50% ahead of the other
Yeah.
people. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Right. And
I call
it's a lot more than
right.
that too.
I called 3 or 4 guys that I know in the business to put in a patio for me. Not one of them was licensed.
Oh my word.
I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
what?
Right. Right.
Thank God I had never referred a landscape,
Right.
a hardscape person.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean you're not licensed? Oh yeah, we don't need. I'm like, yes, you do need to have a
Right.
permit before you're
Exactly.
touching my house. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry,
Right.
but it was just an eye opener, and I'm thinking, people need to know.
Yeah.
And if I don't know after 20 years in
Exactly.
real estate that these people aren't licensed,
Yeah.
then it needs to be something that there needs to be this resource, and it's
Yeah.
there.
Right.
I'm partnering with a real estate company. I'm considering partnering with a real estate company. And I had a big meeting the other day, and she made me feel so good because she was like, I would use this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
exactly. She's
Right.
like, I would use this everywhere. And
Right.
I'm like, this is the missing link. I
It is.
know what it is. Like
Yes.
I've been doing it.
Yeah.
It's been a pet peeve for 20 years that
You're like, let me create the solution. Yeah.
so I just had enough. And I was like, I'm going to give back. This is my gift to my 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing it with everybody out there because
Love it.
that's,
Mhm.
I mean,
It's
at
what
the end of the day,
it's finding that, puzzle piece that's been missing, in the industry. And yeah.
when you can give back and you can do it with a good heart, knowing
Yeah.
that there's no negative.
Yeah.
I mean, at $250 a year,
Mm-hmm.
some of those sites are literally charging thousands a month
Yep.
per lead,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
There's companies out there that are offering their team 50% because they're paying 50%
Yeah.
for the lead.
Yeah.
So your commission's literally being deducted by half because
Mhm.
of the resource you're getting that person from.
Right.
People don't understand. If you log into some of these sites, and I won't mention them, but if you log into some of these sites and you think you like that house and you click, I want to see this house, you're not getting the listing agent ever.
Mhm.
Never, ever, ever, ever.
Yes. Yes.
It's not available.
Right.
Those are buyer's agents
Mhm.
that have paid that company
Yep.
to get your phone number.
Right.
That's all it is. And they're not paying them a little bit of money. They're paying them a ton of money.
Yeah.
So the agents that are out there, it's kind of like big business, little business, right? So if you want to help the little business, the realtors, the local realtors that are feeding your community, that are servicing your community, you have to find them.
Mhm.
This is a resource for
Mhm.
them
Mhm.
for $250 a year to
Mhm.
be able to go on and say, I'm right here.
Yeah.
And answer the phone.
Yes.
Hello. Yes. I would love to come list your house or talk
Right.
to you about the opportunity.
Right.
That's it. It's a
I love
handshake.
it. Right. Right. It's just,
It's,
yeah.
I feel like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the right
Absolutely.
thing to do.
It's the right
And
thing. It's the right thing to do. It's the right time to do it. And that's a big deal.
oh
too.
my gosh, right. And we won't even talk about buyer agency because
Yeah.
every time I log into Facebook, I almost don't want to log into Facebook anymore because I have all these networks that I'm part of.
Yes.
And I can guarantee you, if I logged into Facebook right now, there's probably 100 people with 100 different opinions on this buyer agency lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my God, I'm tired of it. The bottom line is,
I love the stuff you've done too, and you've put out with it because again, you have experts on the subject. You have attorneys. You have like
right?
explaining
Yeah.
this, and it's like okay, like I can trust these people. Like they're
Absolutely.
they're not just like my Facebook rando people. So
Right, right. Tom is the attorney that came on and talked to us about the NAR lawsuit twice now. So there's 2 podcasts that refer to that specific lawsuit. And one of the things that Home Joiner is going to do is it's going to have a link for your website. So any realtors listening to this, I don't care if you want to list, we offer 3%, 2.5%, 2%, whatever you're negotiating out with your sellers. If you want to list the link on Home Joiner, your website's right there. If somebody's looking for you and when they're signing up, you have the ability to say, I work with buyer agent cooperation fees, or we offer buyer agent cooperation fees, I guess is what you can say. This is free reign. Feel free. Go on there, put it in your bio, put your link in there. Let people find you that need buyer agent representation or want to offer buyer agent representation. Sellers are not stupid. Like, they're not going to want to not sell their house because they want both sides of the transaction, or they want to save 2.5%.
Right.
Now, and anybody that does sign up for Home Joiner right now, I'm just going to say until January 1st, 2026, from now until then, you're not going to renew. So basically, I'm not giving you 2 years, but I am giving you more than a couple months because it's going to take us time to build. If you're a realtor and you need a job and you want to supplement your income, please reach out to me. Homejoiner.com. At the very top, it'll say become a service provider. It'll also say join our sales force. Click on that link and come to one of our Zoom meetings and we will tell you exactly what we're doing. We are paying a very nice fee to any independent contractors that want to join us. So feel free to reach out if you need to supplement your income. I'm doing it a lot for you. So my heart is in it to make the real estate industry a little bit easier. And to give back and to help those that are hurting right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, it's a win-win.
It is a win-win. And I've tried to come up with a negative. I really have tried to come up and say, why wouldn't somebody do this? Because it's $250 a year. That's $250 that somebody worked for. I get it.
Right.
But you also write it off. Exactly. So you know what I mean? Like it's really a no-brainer if you're out there and you're listening and you're trying to get a lead. I get on these websites every day and I see, how do I grow my business? How do I do this? How can I get lead generation with a little bit of money? Right. And Home Joiner is for you. That's exactly who it's for. Right. Big, small, doesn't matter. $250 a year. Yep. If you're servicing one zip code or you're servicing the entire state or multiple states, now's your time. Go take it. Take as much territory as you want. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Did you have anything you wanted to add, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think we're good. So I really appreciate you having me on, and I'm available.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah. And I'm available to anyone, like I said, who's listening. My contact info, I'm sure will be somewhere on this thing.
It'll be all over Home Joiner too. So every area, everybody can go to homejoiner.com. Yep. Click on lenders. Julie will pop up.
Check my email all the time. I'm working all the time. So text me, email me, call me. If you say, hey, I saw you on the podcast or I heard you on there, I will know exactly what you're talking about. So
perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Well, take care. Do you have a TikTok? Do you want to leave any of your social media stuff, or?
I guess my biggest social media is my Facebook page, which is, Julie Poindexter. We can put it on here, I'm sure, but yeah.
Well, and your website will be on Home Joiner. So you'll have your website, your phone number, your contact information, your license, your insurance, anything you want to know about Julie. Yeah. You can probably ask her, but at least her personal stuff won't be on Home Joiner. No, I'm just kidding. You'll be like, and if you go on TikTok, you're going to get all these like flowers and hearts and stuff because I don't know, I think it's scammers, but nonetheless, will make you feel good when you get a heart that says, hi, liked your podcast today. And I'm like, what? Okay. So it's all fun. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you, Julie. Take care. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Sounds good. See you.
Take care. Bye-bye.